Hello, and welcome to Individual Justice Planning for People with Disabilities in North Dakota, presented to you by North Dakota Protection and Advocacy Project. Today, we will examine how individual justice planning can help recognize behaviors caused by disabilities, prevent justice system involvement, plan for and support individual success, and divert justice-involved individuals. Individual justice planning is a way to prevent someone with a disability from getting into trouble with the law. It is also a way to help someone who is or has been in trouble with the law stay out of trouble. What is an individual justice plan, otherwise referred to as an IJP? It is a collaborative plan developed and monitored by a team. It starts by identifying and assessing the root of behavior. Then it creates recommendations using the least restrictive, most effective alternative. It has an identifiable outcome and a review process. Individual justice planning is confidential and voluntary. There are three main purposes for individual justice planning. The first is it's an opportunity to establish and build supports for youth and adults with disabilities to prevent involvement or further involvement in the justice system. Next, it's an alternative for the justice system and resources for people in the justice system to utilize, such as in the process of diversion. Finally, it's framework for cooperation between human service agencies and the justice system. Individual justice planning can help recognize behaviors that are caused by disabilities. It can be a clarifying tool. Individual justice planning offers an opportunity to examine a person's offending behavior or behaviors. Those behaviors may look criminal, but how does this behavior relate to the person's disability? If it is what's called a manifestation of the disability, meaning the offending behavior is caused by the disability, individual justice planning guides the systemic response to the person's behavior and identification of appropriate consequences for that behavior. Eligibility for an IJP is based upon a mental or cognitive impairment presenting in a person with a developmental disability, brain injury, neurodevelopmental disorder that affects brain function, or mental illness. The impairment determination must be made by a qualified mental health professional, human service professional, and/or a service delivery or treatment team. Here are some examples of potentially eligible disabilities that you might find in individual justice planning: anxiety, autism spectrum disorder, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, intellectual disabilities, schizophrenia, and traumatic brain injuries. Individual justice planning can prevent justice system involvement for people with disabilities. Who can initiate or start the individual justice planning process? People in your support network, family members, friends, neighbors, community service members, education or special education personnel, treatment providers, law enforcement or school resource officers, court personnel, corrections staff. Basically, anyone working with a person with a disability, and best practice is the earliest point of contact. Individual justice plans are written by teams. Who are potential team members? It can be any or all of the people on this list: case managers, program managers, service providers, parents or family members, guardians, supported decision maker supporters, friends or other natural supports, school personnel, parole or probation staff, legal custodian. Of this list, case or program managers or care coordinators are ideal IJP authors. Individual justice planning can help plan for and support individuals' success. Individual justice plans are written in stages, beginning with identifying and looking at the presenting problems or the behavior that has presented as criminal. A full assessment is done at that point, which leads to recommendations and appropriate consequences. Other recommendations can be included in the plan. The plan should have an anticipated outcome, and it should be combined or integrated with any other plans that the individual has. Someone should be nominated to review the IJP, and a review process should be identified in the plan. The individual at the center of the plan should be participating fully with development of the plan and should consent to follow the plan. And finally, the IJP process and plan is confidential. What areas of a person's life are assessed? The plan looks at their residential situation, vocational or job situation, their education and training background, and anything they are currently undergoing, as well as their medical circumstances, mental and behavioral health, financial situation, what they do socially and recreationally, who are their friends, as well as their family environment and how involved family is, their identity and cultural background, what their transportation situation is, and what their self-advocacy skills are. Through the recommendation process in individual justice planning, people can be diverted from the justice system. These are the kind of recommendations that can be made in an individual justice plan. Positive behavior supports, counseling, supervision and/or case management, community service, hospitalization, agency transfer, other treatment and training, psychotropic medication management, restitution, fines, restorative justice, probation, incarceration. The least restrictive, most effective recommendations should always be used. Disability Awareness Identification Card. Disability awareness information is in the Protection and Advocacy IJP manual, along with this card. Both are also posted on the Protection and Advocacy website. The card may be used by anyone with a disability. Specific disability information may also be included on the card. The card may mention the person has an IJP. The IJP may be available to law enforcement at the time of an encounter or may be able to be on file in the individual's jacket. This is a helpful way to provide information to law enforcement and first responders specific to a person's disability and who might be helpful to contact in a situation where a person with a disability were to become involved with law enforcement. Questions? More information and resources, including copies of our worksheets and the individual justice planning process and manual, are available on our website at www.ndplanning.org/RESO-URCES/planning, documents. Thank you for your interest in the individual justice planning process. Here is a list of additional resources.